Wow, what a beautiful day today. Look at this. This is our winter playground up there. And today I'm up here trying out my new backcountry setup, really. Ultralight touring gear here. My brother's with the, now in the meantime probably quite well known, that it has fish scales on the bottom. But today, yeah, just cruising around a little bit, a bit of meadow skimming, and then overnighter in the cave. So, see you later. Look at this, isn't it just awesome? Oh wow. Finally winter has come. Look at all these lovely meadows to skim. Yeah. Up there. Over there. So, not really terrain for messing around in too much. It's quite steep. And here's my favorite little grove of yew trees. As you can tell, we are in some quite steep terrain here. There's the drop. And then do have quite a nice view out there. But yes, it's not a terrain to be taken lightly. Certainly not in this kind of condition. But then, that's kind of the point. I've been out all day on my new setup with my boots and new skis. Right now I'm just seeing how they are for climbing around on icy rocks. But I am staying well away from the drop. So I'm going to get some more firewood now. I have actually already got all my fire set up and stuff like that, but I would just like to be totally prepared and not have to go out very much more because it's going to get kind of windy later on. I'd like to not have to go out if I don't want to. There you have it. Here. Yeah. Alright, back to the cave. So, here we are. Everything is basically happy now. Everything is drying. Got a nice fire. Got my other things drying over there. My skins and my original, my first merino shirt, so my Ascent shirt. Usually have two merino shirts, a really light one for the main climb, and then the a slightly heavier one for cruising around. I've got my sleeping bag here in the plastic bag lofting up, and got some nice chai going on here. We'll be having some more of that in a bit, and some nice soup. I've got my nice thermarest here, and my dry socks. So I'm happy about that. Warm socks. And yeah, getting the fire underway and cooking some food. This wonderful place. Yeah, I quite like it. Ah, what an awesome day that's been. So it's snowing outside a little bit, but in here everything is good. I've got my spectacular projection wall here. Yep. Okay, it is getting a bit windy out there, so I'm going to just adjust the my setup here a little bit, and then I can be thinking about getting into some bedtime. I just love it. Sleep outdoors once in a while in the winter, it's really nice. although we are actually expecting just, you know, fine weather overnight and some snow flurries, still I've put my boots upside down just in case we get some kind of strange, unexpected weather. And also, although I'm sleeping in a cave and I knew I was going to sleep in a cave, I did actually bring everything in case I didn't get to the cave. So I have one of these car aluminium mats here. I actually have an alpine bivy bag. And down here, which was extremely nice for my feet, a little Z rest, which is awfully lovely to be able to put your feet on. And yeah, but with that fire and all that stuff now in the meantime is nice and dry. And it's pretty lovely out there, I have to say. It's snowing a little bit, but I have my tarp, just a piece of sil nylon here set up. And a lot of you are always complaining that sil nylon is hard to work with, and it really just isn't. This is just a piece of sil nylon by the meter. And I have a very special knot that I use for a sil nylon, so you don't need to even trap a pebble in it or any of that stuff. But I will show you that in the morning, because right now it's time for me to have a nap. Good night, guys. So a few things to note as I tidy my stuff up here. Little dry bag with my overnight or, you know, sleeping gear always with me. A thermos flask for in the morning, especially in the Alps or high up in the mountains. You really do not want to be having to make a fire in the morning. So the last thing at night is a nice hot thermos flask, which then lives inside the bivy bag, and you have your breakfast in the morning. We had spindrift, which is like floating snow or snow driven by the wind, all the way back here into the cave. So even if you're in a cave, you're still going to have to deal with snow. And so for that, what I do is I take a nice winter rated sleeping bag, and a tip for you is put your sleeping bag actually in a stuff sack that's a little bit too big for it. The manufacturers usually want to give you this like really tight little stuff sack so that they can prove how tiny their sleeping bag can compress, but you will swear and you will be frustrated and you will struggle with your cold hands in the morning to get your big foofy sleeping bag into their compression bag. So do yourself a favor, put it in a bigger one. That's the start. So a really good sleeping bag. Then I take a bivvy. You can see this one's still caked in snow. I would say pay the extra money and get a breathable bivvy bag, either a Gore-Tex bag or this one's made out of Event. This is actually my racing bag that I use with mountain marathons. But especially if you're going to be out for more than one day, your sleeping bag, I mean, you transpire, you give off moisture. At the very least, you will be breathing. And if the weather's very bad, you will be breathing probably with a bivvy bag somewhat closed. So do yourself a favor, if you can at all, get yourself a breathable bivvy bag. So the other trick though is actually to take additional windshielding with you. In this case, I've taken just a piece of, you know, off the roll sil nylon. It's extremely light. This thing is huge. I can use it to completely enclose myself. I can use it to build a small tent with. I can use it to build a spindrift barrier like I had it last night. Everybody's always telling me, oh well, and sil nylon, and it's hard to sew it, and blah blah blah. I don't even have grommets on this, but I will show you the trick. So you get a piece of cord, and in the winter what I do is I actually use strong but natural cordage like hemp or jute that will simply weather away if I have to leave it, so that if I'm in a hurry I can just cut it and go. So anyway, whatever your cordage is, you get your piece of sil nylon. Look, no grommets, no nothing, just sil nylon. You put the string a little bit longer, yeah, a little bit longer than the piece that you're working on, and you take the whole thing and you make a single and simple overhand knot, like that, okay? And then you take it again at the bottom, underneath the knot here, and just tighten it up. Okay, and you have a bomb-proof and non-damaging, absolutely solid way of fastening your slippery sil nylon. You don't need to tie a rock in it, you don't need to sew a loop on it, and this way you can put your sil nylon, you can put your configuration exactly the way you want it. So this is the way to do that. And then what I also do usually is I take this with me. This is a cheap, you know, car windscreen cover. Sometimes I use it underneath my sleeping mat as extra warmth. Sometimes I use it just so I can walk around in my socks if I want to, or to keep my feet warm at the fire. There's 1,000 uses for this thing. I use it to sit on when I'm walking around in the snow, so this lives on the outside of my pack. So I have something to sit on so my butt doesn't get wet. I mean, it weighs nothing, it packs down to nothing, it costs nothing. Have one. It's as simple as that. And if you put a hole in it, like I did last night, like that, with the fire, it doesn't matter. So, that's the next trick. What else do I need to tell you guys? Yeah, alright, so. Skins. Skins need to dry, and at all costs skins need to stay away from the ground because they are sticky. And if you let grit and other debris get on your skins, they won't stick, and so that's not good. Keep them off the ground. Yeah, breakfast. Have some stuff with you that you don't need to cook in the morning. Yeah, just a little energy bar, or in this case it's a Zeitenbach fitness riegel. I like these because they have plenty of magnesium and other electrolytes in it, because obviously if we're working very hard during the day, you're going to need some extra electrolytes. You're not necessarily going to think about taking them in tablet form. In this case, it's all already in. Really important for the winter, though, is to make sure to get one that is still edible when it's frozen, or else you have to remember to keep them close to your body all the time, and that's annoying. So, anyway, going to pack up now. See you guys later. So just a word about this backpack. This is Mountain Laurel Designs Exodus pack. Its total liters is about 57. Extremely lightweight. And here actually you also see another use, yet another use for this silver thing, which is to protect the blade, or rather to protect my backpack from the blade of my shovel. Shovel must always be on the outside of your pack, and very easy to hand in the winter. So anyway, yeah, Mountain Laurel Designs. It's exceedingly lightweight. It has no internal frame, and it's just very, very comfortable to carry. It's worth carrying a bit of a larger pack in the winter, just because your clothing and your sleeping bags and so on tend to be more voluminous. Doesn't mean to say you have to carry a lot more weight, but it's certainly quite nice not to really have to struggle to really stuff everything in there and every last nook and cranny. I think it's definitely worthwhile. And then skis inside if possible, and if not, then always, if you have to leave your skis outside, then try to make your bindings point downwards towards the ground, because that way they won't freeze up quite so much. So it's basically me ready to go. Outside it's We've had a whole new massive snow up here, and yeah, time to go and have some fun. Just about these boots, Atomic Backlander, they are amazing. A very, very easy movement. I wore them just basically all day yesterday. I wore them at camp. They are brilliant. You can walk around in them. you can rock climb with them. I mean, it's just not an issue. As you can see here, I'm standing on some really quite tiny flakes here. They'll take a crampon. They're pretty awesome for downhill skiing as well. So I am very pleased with these. This is everything I hoped they would be. The Atomic Backlander backcountry ski touring boot has a setting at the back here, basically from walk to ski. Incredible flexibility and just really comfortable. So pleased about them. Let's go play outside, I think. It's kind of inviting. Yep. Ah yes, a word about gloves. So I take 3 pairs of gloves as a minimum. I have a pair of athletic sport gloves, so in this case it's a pair of just a pair of windstopper touring gloves. Very warm, obviously wind stopping, but you know, eventually your hands do get wet from sweating. The gloves will get wet from the snow. And so you need to have a second pair of very warm gloves. I always take a pair of mittens. These are a pair of Buffalo System nylon and pile on the inside. They dry extremely quickly. They are extremely warm, and they are really extremely light, and they pack away to nothing. Sometimes I take a pair of woolen Dachstein mitts, depending on what I'm going to do. And of course, a pair of work gloves, just these, you know, €6 bivouac, or your DIY store pair of leather work gloves. These actually kind of work alright as athletic gloves as well, but I tend to keep them for the fire and as a backup for my athletic gloves if they get too soaked. So yes, look after your hands. You need them. Do not let them get cold. Your test for your hand dexterity is this. If you're not capable of doing this anymore, or somehow doing small dexterity, but especially if you're not any more capable of doing this, you need to stop what you're doing and take care of your hands. Usually this means sticking them in your pocket closest to your in your trouser pocket closest to your skin, or stick them right inside of your clothing into your skin. Yes, look after your hands. Okay, also about gloves. Don't be sticking your spare gloves down in the bottom of your backpack. You're not going to stop and take gloves out of the bottom of your backpack in the middle of, you know, horrible weather when you're feeling a bit aggressed and your hands are cold. You don't want to stop. You don't want to take your pack off. Keep your spare gloves in a pocket of your jacket, you know, or inside your jacket, or somehow accessible, because you will not want to mess about in those moments and you need to be able to put your gloves on. So, be smart. So the first part of the descent out of here is a bit of rocky scrambling and climbing, so that's not good for wearing skis. So I just attach the skis to the backpack. If it's a longer ascent or descent without skis, then I would have one ski on either side and in a kind of an A-frame like this. But as it happens, it's not very far, so I'm okay with them just being diagonally across here. And all I do is I just take some elastic cord here, which I always have a few of them with me, fasten it to whatever is available on the pack. I use my shovel to make a little attachment point for the binding, and then I just attach it however the backpack happens to be set up. Same at the top here. Very, very simple, quick to undo. Try not to make too many knots when it's very cold, especially in thin string like this, because your hands do lose some dexterity in the cold, and it's really good not to have to fiddle with it. Also, of course, snow and then the rope gets wet, and then the rope freezes, and then you definitely can't open it anymore. So as much as you can work with loops and toggles and knots that come undone when you pull them, the better it is, just because it's a matter of frustration otherwise. So, time to go and head out into this lovely weather. So please be particularly careful in this kind of terrain where there's what we call forestry slash, or downed trees and things like this, and a lot of rocky blocks. I just come down from up here because with the snow cover you can't see where the holes are, and there are some quite deep holes like this one, which are often covered with snow. And you can imagine, you really, because it has all these leaves and this bit of slash, but that stuff is too light, it won't hold your weight. And if that breaks and you go sliding down a hole like that, I can tell you something, it's not something that you want. So I know this terrain in the summer, so I know where the holes I know where the holes are, but please be careful. This kind of forestry slash terrain with big scree blocks is really probably best actually avoided. But if you know it in the summer really well, of course you have an advantage. So of course skis are a great advantage in this kind of terrain. Once it's once you're onto ground where you can actually wear them, because it helps to distribute your weight and stops you from falling through holes, plus it's just a lot faster. So I actually like to put my skis on as soon as possible. The skis that I have are specialist kind of backcountry touring skis that are made for this kind of abuse. They're very, very light. I wear them quite short because my objective here isn't to go, giant slalom racing. My objective is to get around in the terrain and do that safely with a minimum of effort and a maximum of pleasure. So I put them on, and now I'm going to go through here and then skim some meadows to the valley, which is down there somewhere. So that's the deal. This is the girl. See you guys later. Have a good time. Don't fall in the hole. Just imagine how much it would suck. Yeah. Not quite enough to ski it, but it's alright for moving around in. So we're out of the steepest part now. This is a really nice little glade. Also would be super for camping in the winter. One thing I really like about this setup, as you can see, I've got some Dynafit touring bindings on here, which are also fixed at the heel, or you can set them to fix the heel. What I'm really liking is to leave the boot in walk mode. So as you can see, I have absolutely lots and lots and lots of forward flex. But to have the heels actually attached as I'm going through this terrain, because it makes the ski very much easier to manipulate. If I had it in tour mode now, that ski would obviously flop around. So the ski is easy to manipulate, and yet I have all this movement. And because the skis have got these fish scales on the bottom, that gives me plenty of traction. If I needed more traction, well, I would just put the skins on and go through the forest like that. It's okay to also go downhill on skins, it's just very, very slow. Sometimes that's advantageous. So I have, with this setup here, it's just incredibly versatile. The skis float really well in the powder. I have lots of different ways of using them, and being able to transition really quickly from uphill and downhill in this kind of terrain. When it's rolling like this, it's kind of useful. So I am supremely happy with these. I think you're going to see quite a few videos with me in this setup. The other thing that I'm going to probably do is, for when it's just snowing like this, of course the snow does eventually get stuck in the loading, so I'll probably start taking a very light, super light nylon, just a snow shirt over, so that the loading doesn't collect all the snow, because I'd kind of like it to not get all frozen up. So far so good, ladies and gents. Let's go play. Actually, let's go along here. It looks kind of nice. Yeah, it does. Oh man, I love being in the snow. God, I can't explain to you how awesome this is. It's really athletic. You know, I'm in some steep terrain here, especially where I came from. It's kind of burly, but I'm all set up and nothing too heavy, and strong enough. And I know the terrain, so it's just wonderful. It's a kind of freedom, I think, to be, you know, capable, really just knowing what you're doing, being strong enough, having the right setup, knowing the area, being aware of the avalanche danger. And when you've spent some time really, you know, getting your gear set up right, this is now weighing, I don't know, 8 kilos or something. It's nothing, you know, it's just really nothing. And a comfortable pack, which itself is ultra light, some really good food. Today, what I had for breakfast, I had my sustained energy, hot sustained energy with the palmine in it from a thermos can. That's ultra distance athletic food that I use when I'm running sort of 70 or 80 kilometers in the mountains. But I use it in the morning as well when I'm going to have a, you know, an athletic day. Why wouldn't you use athletic drink? It's just a powder. You can take it with you. You make it in your thermos flask. You have it for breakfast. You have a few nuts, and you know you're good to go. You need to look after your body because you're asking a lot. You know, it's cold. It's very varied terrain. You have to think. You have to really pay attention. You know, fuel yourself properly and drink enough, and you know, have a good time. This is the kind of thing we want to see. This is a forestry road. It's at a sensible incline. It will have not too many rocks underneath. The only thing to just look out for is that, like here in the picture right there, there's a tree trunk that's fallen across. What's very awful is if you catch your skis underneath that. So we still, although we want to just go booming down the powder here, we're doing a lot with the eyeballs, making sure that we're not catching our skis under logs, because that is just a broken leg. And yeah, you know, I have SATCOM and everything's fine, but I really don't want a broken leg out here. So powder hands, yes, we have to be controlled. Plenty of meadow skimming still to come. There we can have the big goes. So right now, following the forestry road down, and then doing some turns, doing some nice glidey stuff, and we'll see you at the bottom. Bye! Hey, one thing that's really important, when you come across a little tree like this in the way, just step over it or around it, no matter what effort that is. I mean here, because they're so fragile in the winter here, I just touched this little twig here with my ski as I was stepping over it, and I've killed that branch. That'll die now. So you can just imagine what it's like if you just recklessly go zooming through this kind of terrain. So when you've got these little powder mounds, usually they're trees, try not to just smash through them, you know. There's plenty of powder for everybody, and the trees are already having a hard enough time in the winter. So that's also part of make nice, you know, just don't cause unnecessary suffering to other living creatures. It's better that way. Okay? If you've powdered hand enough, you'll always find some place to put some turns in. Yep, there's just a few. Not really quite steep enough, but these are just, skis are so good for powder that I couldn't resist. So, see if we can go find some more, huh? Oh, even just putting a few little turns in is so nice. These skis are just great. I am absolutely thrilled. Really, really awesome. Yep, plenty more where that came from. All terrain, powder, backcountry, kick and glide, steeps, not too much camber, so you've got lots of edge contact with the ice if you need it. I just love it. Love it! Voile Vector backcountry all around adventuring skis. Yes! So, now we've got a really flat bit coming. I step out of the ski. That's really easy. You just press this little lever down here, like that. Step out of the ski. You can see here is the way that it holds my boot in a downhill position. So you just turn the binding like that, and then you can just step back into the binding. When you press your foot down, the ski brake locks in the upright position, and then in this particular model it actually has a special safety feature that allows you to turn, allows the toe piece to turn in case of a fall, but we don't want that right now, so we lock it in the touring position and good to go for kick and glide. Important thing is, I mean, here it doesn't really matter, but when you're in really deep snow, if you actually step here, you may go into your hips, so just stand on your ski. It's fine. It's and that way you've got some base from which to work. So again, just turn this. These are the elevators, so going uphill you can elevate your heel, make it a bit easier. Step back in. See that fit binding, yeah. Step into the heel plate so that the heel brake comes up, and then fix the toe piece for touring. Easy. And we'll go that way for a while. Kick and glide on a touring ski. Kick and glide on a touring ski. Damn, man, I'm in love. They turn well, they glide super good, they're easy to turn, they're short in the woods, they're dead light, super strong. Yeah. Always good to have a cookset to hand. There's lots of ways to drink, but you need to have the cookset on your belt or very nearby, because otherwise you won't want to stop, because you will have to take your backpack off and you don't want to do it. So have it on your belt, have a drink, nice water. Hydration is the key to performance. Of course, the massive other benefit of having these fish scales on these skis is that in conditions that would just hopelessly glop up your skins, you don't have any. And all this kind of flat stuff, well, you've got plenty of traction, you don't need to put your skins on at all. These are good depending on what kind of snow we've got. These I can inclines up to 20 degrees just on the fish scales. So you can imagine what sort of an efficiency impact that has. All in all, I'm just in love with the setup completely. I just think it's wonderful. So when you're working a bit harder or it's a little bit warmer, then you just adjust your layers in the sense that first you can just adjust how the hood is. So take your hoods off, the extra hat that I had on, and open this here. This way you don't need to mess about with the main layer and taking that on and off. Often just adjusting by the hood is more than enough. So now we're going to do a bit of a flat run to the house on my lovely glidey skis, and then maybe we'll make a little video for you guys. Yeah, maybe you'll be encouraged too. Look at this awesome stuff. I love it. Yep. Ah, I saw Mr. Gudelius Joost going up the hill. He's an absolute hero, that guy. I'm so honored to be in the same valley as him and ski some of the stuff he's skiing. Just an epic guy. His history is just brilliant. In fact, the history of this valley is pretty amazing. In 1895, we had a forestry, well, basically the forester, the royal forester here, and his name was Maximilian Litius. And Litius was actually the first guy ever to use skis in a professional setting in the Alps. And what had happened was that he had gone to Köln for a Europe-wide meeting of forestry professionals, and he met there a Norwegian forester who had skis. And I mean, it was a very, very long way to travel in those days, so they were there for quite some time and they got to be friends. And Litius invited this Norwegian guy down here to the Achenau with him. And they got on so well together that the Norwegian gentleman left his skis here for Litius to use. And Litius used the skis that'll be quite similar in shape to the ones I've got here, to tour around his area, his terrain in the winter. And then we have Mr. Gudelius. Gudelius actually wrote the history book about the Achenau and all the amazing stories about here. And he himself has an entire history of adventures in Alaska and other places. He's a very, very interesting guy. I've corresponded with him a little bit. He's been super helpful. And I just met him going up the trail. What a life, hey? Yeah, so blessed. See you guys later. Okay, so in 5 minutes we went from really quite nice to pretty much a whiteout with some good wind. So again, my extra gloves are in my pocket here. This was in my pocket here. My extra hat, a map, my GPS device. I also have this little pocket at the side here. I've got side pockets in my backpack. I mean, the stuff, what goes in the back should really only be your sleeping gear and maybe the cooking food. My snack food is also in a little side pouch, the tripod for my camera and so on. So really, you and water bottle and stuff. You want to try to keep as much of that stuff that you're going to need during the day and that you want yourself to use, so that you can keep yourself in order, to be easily accessible. So I mean, you might put up with cold hands if you have to go in your backpack to get the fresh gloves, and then your hands don't work so good. You might put up with getting a bit dehydrated, but you might put up with getting a little bit hungry. You might put up with getting a little bit of cold, but all these things add up together to make bad stuff happen, especially if you're then suddenly needing to make a big effort and you're not fueled or set up to do that and you're already slightly cold. I mean, it's a matter of really constantly thinking about, how can I make my situation better? Did the situation change? Where am I located on the map, on the terrain? What's the weather doing? So it's a kind of cyclical and expanded situational awareness. So how am I at? How is my gear? Is everything working and functioning properly? What's the terrain doing? What are my partners doing? What's the weather doing? How far have I still got to do? What's my hydration status? All these things if you get into doing them in a rhythmic basis, then they're just such quick flashes that go on eventually kind of in your subconscious mind, that it leaves your enjoying brain, let's say, free for enjoying, and you know that actually you're quite safe, because this continuous, regular, always the same cycle of situational awareness is happening in the background, and you will instantly be aware if something is not the way it should. So you practice it by really thinking about it. Yeah, me, my mood, hydration, how much food, am I fatigued, am I feeling cold or not, how is my then gear, clothing, is it still the right clothing for the conditions, do I need to change into my skins, is there anything I need to change about my height of my poles or any of that kind of stuff, is it time to change the settings on my bindings, and then my body, my weather, and all the rest of it. So that way you can spend all of your effort enjoying. See ya! Yeah, another thing I wanted to talk to you about these skis that's really amazing is how floaty they are. So when I'm pushing forward here through this deep fresh snow and breaking trail, this is usually absolutely exhausting, but because of the shape of the tips here, as I slide my foot forward, and because they're so light, they just come to the surface. There's really not really any additional effort involved, and I just step down then. That's the sound of crunching. My goodness, what a difference. Just brilliant. Quite wonderful. So, in the meantime, we're home. Quite glad to be home. Quite a long couple of days. Had a great time. Now, cup of tea, nice fire, and then I'll see about cutting y'all a little video. See you later. Go outside. Like my buddy Sup would say, geht's außer. Bye.